it's a really good idea to make sure that you do a pretty thorough warm-up before you do any kind of exercise, but particularly yoga and stretching, because most people are or do tend to be a little bit stiffer in the back and hips these days. We do sit for a lot longer than maybe our ancestors did. So this particular sequence I'm going to show you, you could do in the morning, take about 10 or 15 minutes. You could do it at night when you get home from work, or if you've been doing a lot of driving. But personally, unless I'd been for a walk or I'd done any other exercise, I wouldn't just be going straight into silites or funky vinyasas without doing a warm-up like this, okay? But if you haven't got much time, you can do this on its own. This is something you could do every day and just save the whole sequence for when you've got a little bit more time, okay? Always good to do something. So always come down into either this pose I always called constructive rest. You can just bring your palms up, or you can be in Supta Baddha Konasana. Now, if that doesn't feel comfy, you can always pop cushions underneath your thighs. You can roll up a blanket. But just try and relax for a good couple of minutes. It's really important that you relax. And you've got to try to make sure that you're breathing into your belly. Because sometimes when we're stressed, we tend to breathe into the chest because we hold a lot of tension in the tummy. We hold tension in the tummy also because we want to look nice in our clothes. But when you're lying down, you can relax. So if you're not sure if your tummy's moving, you can pop your hands on your belly and just make sure that as you breathe in, your belly is lifting up. We're just going to do passive exhalations for the sake of this exercise. So in other words, don't tense any muscles on the out-breath. Just let your belly fall back down towards the floor. So you're breathing in, and it's a slightly longer than normal inhalation, but it might be a slightly shorter than normal exhalation because we're not going to tense any muscles. But just scan through your body, notice how your body is feeling, and just check in with any injuries that you're nursing, any stiff or sore muscles, and anything that you need to be mindful of before you begin your exercise program, whether it's yoga or something else. So just try and relax for at least a few minutes. And when you're ready, you can just take one more little breath in. And when you breathe out, bring your knees together. If it's hard on your back, I would flatten your back first. Bring your chin in. You can even bring one knee at a time towards your chest. Some people tell me that's a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, if you haven't flattened your back first. Just see how close you can get your knees to your armpits, and then hold on to your shins and gently bring your knees a little bit closer. So you always want to think of this as being assisted movement rather than forcing yourself into a stretch your body isn't ready for. And then you can push your shins into the palms and the palms into the shins. And when you relax, you might find your knees come just that little bit closer. So we're going to start off with a variation of a fish pose. If you've done yoga before, this won't be a variation that you're familiar with, but it is a bit safer for most people than the version that you might be used to. So what we're going to do is just broaden across the upper back and press the shoulder blades into the floor. Make sure the chin is in. And feel as if the upper body is really connecting with the floor. When you breathe in, push the collarbone to the ceiling, and you'll just feel your middle back start to arch, and then relax. Flatten the back, bring the knees in, and give your hips a wiggle, just from the left to the right side. So you do that a few times, and then you can change the movement. So this time we're just going to move the lower part of the body in a circle. So just start with a really small circle, try and connect the breath with the movement, and notice how your back is feeling, because if your back is niggly, you just want to stick to very tiny circles. But if your back is fine, you could add on. You bring the arms out and you might be able to make the circles bigger. But if it feels niggly, come back to smaller ones. And then you can take it back in the opposite direction. So this is a fairly simple warm-up. Anyone who could get down on the floor and get up again will be able to do it. Okay? Now, very simple, very easy poses for the most part, but really important. Now when you finish, just pop your left foot on the floor, take your right leg straight so it's about 10 centimetres off the floor. That'll help to release your hamstring. Okay, bring the right leg to the ceiling, right thigh to the chest, back to the first position. So it's a one-legged bicycle, in other words, but I slowed it down Because if I don't slow it down, you can just start thinking about, other things, flinging your leg into outer space and not really being mindful about what you're doing. And in that respect, easy yoga, easy poses are harder because your mind does wander. All right, so try and keep connecting the breath with the movement and really be aware of what you're doing. You can take it back in the opposite direction when you're ready. So try and make sure that you're still breathing and your face is relaxed. Now finish off when you're ready and lengthen into the ball of your right foot and just focus on all those muscles down the back of the right leg that for most people are pretty stiff, they're pretty tight. And instead of thinking aggressive thoughts like I must stretch these muscles, try and be nice. Try and imagine those muscles relaxing. And always remember, when you ask nicely, you get a little bit more. When you're ready, bend the right leg and just imagine that you're trying to take your right knee to the lower right hand corner of your mat, but you're trying to bring your right heel up towards your left shoulder. Bring your left foot off the floor and push the ankle into the thigh and the thigh back into the ankle. If your hips are really stiff, I'd just stick with this one. Okay. If you've got a little bit more flexibility, you just relax the tensioning. You might find your leg comes a bit closer. And then you can use your hands. So use your left hand to just hold on to the left shin and use your right hand to gently push the right knee away. So try and breathe into it. Don't hold your breath. Don't force. And then relax. Bring your knees to your armpits. And as the next stretch, I call the banana stretch, because basically we're going to shape ourselves like a banana, and I'm sure it has a very posh Sanskrit name, but it's easier to explain when you do it this way. So what you're going to do is take your right leg to the opposite side of your mat. You can keep your left thigh nice and close to the armpit, and you bring the arm up. So you can see I'm shaped like a banana. I'm going to work on pushing that right hip into the floor. And if it feels okay for your neck, you look towards the right armpit. If you're super flexible, you can straighten that leg and you can call it the banana split. Okay? But most people find this one's a lot more comfortable. And relax. Come back to the first position. So that wasn't much, but if you take your legs to the floor and straighten them, you'll realise that right leg's a lot longer than the other one, and I'm much flatter on this side. Okay, so that was what, 2 minutes? Everyone's got that amount of time. So pop your right foot on the floor, lift your left leg up, and then from here bring your left leg to the ceiling, thigh to the chest, back to the first position, and so on. So it's a one-legged bicycle. And try and make sure that you're connecting your breath with the movement. You're not doing this but thinking about something else, and that you're relaxed where you can be relaxed. Take it back in the opposite direction when you're ready. And then finish off. So lengthen into the ball of your left foot. Remember, it doesn't matter if your left leg is bent. You don't want to feel like there's a strong stretch down the back of your leg. Most people are tensing those muscles. Okay, so try and let go of any sense of grim determination and try and relax into the feeling instead. When you're ready, bend at the left knee. Imagine that you're going to bring your left heel to the right shoulder and your left knee to the lower left-hand corner of your mat. When you're ready, right foot off the floor and just gently push the foot into the thigh and the thigh back into the foot. So a little bit of resistance, but maybe you don't need to end up with high blood pressure when you're doing resistant stretches. Now if you're very stiff, I'd just stick with this one, but if you can, relax the tensioning and you might find your right leg comes closer. And if it does, use your hands to go a bit deeper. So I'm holding onto my right shin with the right hand, and I'm just gently using the left hand to push the left knee away. There's more of an idea than anything else. So breathe into the muscles that feel as if they need stretching. There's some evidence that suggests you get a bit of extra length in your muscles when you focus on the muscles that you're trying to stretch. Relax. Bring the knees to the armpits. We're going to banana it to the opposite side, which in this case means bringing your left leg over to the right side. Keep your right knee as close to the side body as you can, and then bring the left arm up. So you're working on pushing your left hip, it's over here, into the floor, and maybe looking at the left armpit. You can use your breath, so you're breathing into the hip flexor and all the way up through the side body, armpit, and into the fingertips. And then bring your left arm down, come back to the first position. And when you straighten your legs, Yay, they're the same length, which is very useful. Pop your feet on the floor, and you want your feet about hip-width apart, and I'm just going to flatten my back, bring the palms together, and stretch the fingers to the ceiling. But I don't want to end up like that, which often happens, because as we get older, the neck changes. Okay, we don't have those curves anymore. That's from sitting as well. So chin in, grip the mat with the feet. Now when you breathe in, start to lift the front of the hips to the ceiling. And it should feel as if you're lifting one vertebra at a time. Well, that's what you're aiming for, but that might not happen. And you're aiming to get the stiffest part of your upper back or your middle back pressing into the floor. This is a little bit like backstroke. Don't move your head. Left arm down, right arm up, breathing to the tummy, and then relax. Bring the right arm down. Breathing in, left arm up, nice big belly, and breathing out, left arm down. Breathing into the belly, right arm up, breathing out, right arm down. Inhaling, left arm up, and breathing out, left arm down. We'll do one more each side. So breathing in, right arm up, nice big tummy, and breathing out, right arm down. Last one, left arm up, breathing in, and breathing out, left arm down. So we don't want to give in to gravity. Keep pushing the front of the hips to the ceiling, and when you breathe out, try and roll down one vertebra at a time, but from the stiffest part of your upper back to the lowest part of your lower back. You almost want to imagine that each of your vertebra is like a separate escalator. So it's part of one whole thing, but each bit's moving in a separate way. And then relax. Just hang out in constructive rest for a breath. And then bring your knees nice and close to your thighs. Thighs nice and close to your chest, I should say. Now with this one, we're interlinking the hands and taking them behind the head. And you've got to make sure that you keep the thighs as close to the tummy as you can. So what we're going to do is just gently shuffle the bottom to the left and try and bring the knees towards the right armpit, but press the left elbow and the left shoulder, that's the opposite, into the floor. So that stretches the left shoulder and the left side of the lower back. And back to the first position. And swap over. So you shuffle your bottom to the right and take your knees towards your left armpit. And you're pushing your elbow, the opposite elbow, the right one, and the right shoulder into the floor. Back to the first position. We'll do one more each side. You can do more if you want to. Just shuffle your bum to the left and take your knees towards the right armpit. So I'm not letting the knees drop. Push the elbow into the floor and back. And shuffle your bottom to the right and take your knees towards the left armpit. So pushing the right elbow into the floor. And come back to the first position. You can repeat that one. I'm going to show you a harder one. This isn't for the faint-hearted. It's a really good exercise for your core muscles. It really strengthens the muscles of the waist. So we'll just do one of these. Arms out to the side. Stretch into your feet. And this time you shuffle your bottom to the left. Keeping your chin in, you're going to have a go at taking your toes down towards your right hand. But they've got to hover about 10 centimetres off the floor, just for the next half an hour. I'm just joking, and back. When you're ready, shuffle your bottom to the right, keep your chin in, and take your toes down towards your left hand. They've got to hover 10 centimetres off the floor, and relax. Come back. Now if you need to, bring your knees in, roll to the right side to come up. If you want to try the fancy version, stretch into your fingers, bring your chin to your throat, breathe all the way in, and as long as it doesn't create whiplash, you can come all the way up like that. And then we're going to kneel and stretch forward.